I tell you what, maybe a good way to start this off is like I'll pull up the chat here, guys, and we're about to talk about Disney, and I think Disney is like obviously just kind of screwed. What do you guys think? Is Disney screwed, chat, or are people going too hard on Disney, and is Disney going to be fine? Like, what do you think? Put some of your thoughts in the chat. I just want to see where you guys are at with it because I think Disney, I think there's obviously people that still like Disney. I think Disney is still, for all intents and purposes, a very powerful company. I don't know what the market cap of it currently is, but, you know, I know that they've had a lot of volatility in the stock over the past couple of years. There seemed to have been a bounce back when Iger came back and sort of righted the ship a bit. But by and large, Disney has still felt on a decline. I think that's like the fair way to say it, is that Disney is on a pretty massive decline. But as you can see in chat, like there's still mixed opinions on it. A lot of people feeling differently about it. Some people think they're Teflon, you know, bulletproof. They're going to be fine. This is just an ebb and flow, right? This is just maybe a low point or an adjustment period for them. Other people are like, no, I think there's something seriously wrong here. I think there's something that is going to actually hurt them past just what has happened in the past and adjusting from trends, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I'll tell you this, man. I don't know exactly, right? I don't know exactly what's going on, but I know shit ain't great. This is pretty wild here. Tron Ares will reportedly have a loss of $132.7 million. And this is kind of wild. I saw over the weekend, and I'll pull it up for you as well. I saw over the weekend some box office tracking accounts saying that this film was literally tracking lower than Morbius. And that appears to be true. Okay, so you can see this account here. Tron Ares just made $3 million on the second Friday, headed towards about $11 million for its second weekend. That's a troublesome 66% tumble from opening weekend, 10 days below box office. Kim would reach nearly 55. The final might end up below Morbius. Holy shit. And yeah, again, looking like $132 million dollar loss when it comes to Tron. And this is in a year where Disney's having a lot of trouble. Now, Lilo and Stitch did very well. I believe they had another movie that did fairly well that has kind of saved them. And I think a lot of people are looking at the two big Disney movies for the rest of the year, which would be Zootopia 2 and, of course, the Avatar sequel, right? And an Avatar sequel especially feels like it's going to make $1 bajillion. Not so sure about Zootopia 2. But I think the truth is, regardless of how you feel about their prospects moving forward, it's pretty clear that Disney is in maybe one of the lowest, most difficult places that it has ever been. And connected to this, right? I want to bring this up to your attention. We spoke about this last week. Forbes has been telling on a lot of different people lately. You know, they're very good at looking at the financials. And again, I know that there's this thing where like people say because it's contributing reporters and not staff reporters that this is somehow bad reporting or not real. That's just not true. This is very solid reporting. And Forbes would not just put out slop financial reporting. It would totally hurt their brand. It's just a silly thing that there's a lot of cope out there for Disney. Anyway, this is really interesting. This is the profits of Disney Star Wars. And Forbes recently said that The Force Awakens is actually the most profitable movie in the history of Hollywood, I believe, is what they said in their new reporting here. Pretty wild, right? But regardless, here's the money that was made from these different Star Wars movies. You have The Force Awakens coming in at $500 million. After that, you had Rogue One, which made $260 million. Still very, very good. Then you have The Last Jedi. Last Jedi making 324. Not terrible. Okay, not terrible. And then Solo, A Star Wars Story, making $100 million, which I don't even know how that works. I suppose that's probably from a lot of accounting tricks, basically. You know what I mean? And then, of course, The Rise of Skywalker, which we talked about last week in a video, making $48.3 million, which is pretty baffling. On the one hand, I mean, I guess I wonder what you guys think about this, right? Because you could take a look at this. It's technically that this has made over $1 billion. That the Star Wars movies in total have made over $1 billion. And maybe that's good, and you could think positively about that. I think it feels bad that they've only made $1 billion in the movie theaters, and especially when you consider that basically half of that was made by one film in Force Awakens. Yeah, I don't think this looks very good. But I think the other thing that's really interesting about this data is that it shows that there was this period at Disney where things really did start to turn. And I think the Solo Rise of Skywalker time period really does match up pretty closely with when Disney just kind of started to have that fall off. And I mean, you look at the Marvel stuff, and of course, yes, Marvel stuff, there's a caveat because there was a pandemic and it's a whole year delay and then a lot of lockdown and stuff like that. But it's the same thing. I mean, I've brought this charts up to show you guys before, but the profitability of Marvel, I mean, after Endgame takes this massive fucking drop and basically never goes back. It never goes back, right? So Disney and its two biggest brands outside of maybe Pixar, right, had at the same time this really massive decline. And years away from that, it's just really quite interesting to see just how far things have gone. You know, yesterday was the 10-year anniversary of the Force Awakens trailer. And maybe you saw this, chat. Let me know if you did. There were a lot of people sharing their memories of the Force Awakens 10-year anniversary. In fact, let me see if I can say that. Force Awakens. It'll probably, a bunch of this will probably pop up here, okay? And I saw a bunch of people celebrating it. Did you guys see a bunch of people celebrating it? You know the resounding emotion that I saw? This would be the 10 years from the very first trailer, not from when it dropped, but the very first trailer. The resounding emotion that I saw from folks out there was something like, I can't believe the feelings I had then compared to the feelings I have now. And that it's really hard to make sense of just how different those realities are. I saw a lot of people being like, I actually can't believe how little I think of Star Wars. I saw one person say, it was a pretty high profile account, say, Star Wars used to have the kind of cachet where college professors would stop class to bring out the first trailer when the first trailer was announced. Star Wars used to have cultural significance that when this movie was touring, when Star Wars was going back, it was like you'd walk into Target or Walmart or, you know, whatever store, and it seemed like the entire store was overtaken by like Star Wars fever, man. I remember times that you'd go into those stores in the holidays. You'd have this front section with all this Star Wars stuff. Then you have a back section, which was all the Star Wars holiday stuff. It was just like the biggest and craziest thing in the world, right? And I think there are, as a small side note, and we don't have to really focus on this too much, but as a small side note, of course, there are a ton of people that will not be able to recognize how bad it has become. And there's a ton of people out there that are like celebrating this 10-year thing as though nothing has happened and Star Wars is perfect and everything is great. Those people are wrong and fucking delusional. This shit is awful, and most people recognize that it's awful. And you know, for the longest time, a lot of this like Disney stuff, man, like Disney just took the perspective. I mean, I think at this point, if we're being fair about Disney, we'd have to say that during this time period around 2016, all the way until, you know, maybe 2019, 2020, maybe even it started earlier, 2013, 14, 15, all during this time period, right? Like as certain issues were bubbling up, as the culture war and the counterculture arguments, to the culture war and all that sort of stuff really started to kind of take place. Disney, at the very least, took the stance of like, we know best. And the Disney strategy for the longest time was sort of this, we're going to act Teflon, like we're never going to admit defeat. We're never going to admit that we've done anything wrong. And that's just always been like a very Disney thing. That's always been a part of their identity. I mean, and some of this was good, some of this was bad. Back in the day, Disney actually changed copyright law. So two different ways. Public domain, there's supposed to be a thing within copyright law where after a set amount of years, IP goes into the public domain. So big companies can only have, exclusive rights to IP for certain time periods. Disney lobbied to change this, not once, not twice, many different times, and they delayed what IP would go into the public domain. And a lot of people think they're going to do it again when we get close, because we're almost there to some of this stuff. Okay, another example is there was. Remember when you would put on a VHS or you'd put on a DVD and there'd be that FBI warning? Remember that FBI warning would say you could face a fine of up to $250,000, 5 years in prison or whatever it was. Piracy, don't do it. Again, Disney. Disney lobbied to have that get put out there, to put that very stern FBI, like, we're going to come after you kind of a warning. So Disney had always had this reputation of being that kind of company. They're like a mafia. It's a mafia type company and a mafia type attitude. Piracy is a crime. That's Corey says in chat. The point I'm trying to make is like that perspective and that corporate culture, I think, was uniquely unfit for the culture war moment, the 2016 moment, all the stuff that has happened since, the accelerated rate by which all of these different things are torn apart, reconstructed, discussed online. Disney is just so far behind the times. And they really fucked it up. They really fucked it up, is what I'm trying to say. And I think like years and years later, man, when I see this stuff going on, I guess what I would say is this. Different people have different takes on this. People feel differently about it. I mean, let me ask you guys this. Is there anybody here in chat that kind of wants Zootopia 2 to fail and kind of wants Avatar, the next one, to not make money? It's a genuine question. Is there anybody in this chat right now? Throw a 1 into the chat. If you actually want Zootopia 2 to underperform, and you actually want the next Avatar to underperform, throw a 1 into the chat. I'm curious. So there's a lot of people that are like, no, but there are ones in here. There are ones in here. And I would have to tell you that, although I love the Avatar movies, and I think I'm going to go see the Avatar movie and I'm going to have a blast. I'm not putting any money on the Avatar box office, by the way. I would have to say I would throw a 1 into the chat. And I know that seems fucked up, and maybe it is fucked up, but it's also just honest. The reality of the situation is I don't like these fucking people, dude. I don't like this company. I really don't like them. And that's just me. Little old me, little old completely reasonable, never toxic, always well-reasoned Josh. I will legit get a kick out of it. The fact that Tron Ares is going to lose Disney $132.7 million, I legitimately get a kick out of it. Like, I legitimately hate this company and the idea of this company. And I want them to hurt. I want them to fail. I want them to lose money. I wouldn't be mad if Disney completely went away or was bought up by some other company, got absorbed or whatever. Like, I have literally zero connection to the company. I don't give a fuck about them. I don't have any, I do not care. I like the IP. I like Marvel. I like Star Wars. Never been like a Mickey Mouse guy, you know what I mean? Like, don't really care, don't really like that kind of shit. And I honestly feel, and I think a lot of people are at this point, I honestly feel like Disney has fucking ruined my favorite shit. It's as simple as that, guys. It's literally as simple as that. Let me show you something. Let me show you something else, just to kind of drive it home. Just to kind of drive it home for you, okay? Because some of you are like, whoa, 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 whoa. No. It's not whoa, whoa, whoa. It's hold on. Maybe he has a point. It's not whoa, whoa, whoa. Check this out. Okay, now this is a joke. Obviously, I'm not actually, wanting to delete myself, but this comes from an article. Adam actually shared this article with me. And this article right here is talking about something that I had been bringing up, and that's something that I was afraid of. It says, now Bob Iger wants to wreck something else. I've been catching rumors that Disney has been sending out a lot of feelers to Games Workshop. Now, again, that's like a joke or whatever. I mean, look, I don't know that it's a joke. It was actually in an article. I don't think Games Workshop would actually sell to Disney. But just a couple of weeks ago, we heard this report that Disney actually is trying to court new entertainment to try to get young males on board. Remember that article? Remember that report? Do you remember that report? And I said I had heard that they were actually trying to get Games Workshop. And I did hear that. And I didn't know if the person was fucking with me or whatever, right? But I mean, goddamn. Okay. But like, I want to be very clear about this. I would actually freak the fuck out if Disney bought Games Workshop. I would have a meltdown. I would legitimately lose my fucking mind. And the reason is because they have ruined, or at least attempted to ruin, because, hopefully this stuff can still recover, but they have ruined my favorite shit. I guess what I wonder is, why do some of you give them a pass? Did they or did they not ruin our shit? And do we or do we not want the good stuff that is out there that we like to be nowhere near Disney? Like, do you know what I mean? You're still holding on. They are the worst. Like, what do we like about them? What is even redeemable about this? Like, what is good about Disney? What even is? No. And by the way, I think that there's some evidence that a lot of people are feeling the way that I am feeling. I think there's some evidence to suggest that there's a whole bunch of people that feel this way. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the answer is, but like, dude, I don't know. I was just thinking about it, man, because I'm just, again, this actually happened. Like Adam actually sent me that article. I actually saw it. I actually freaked out. I actually had the post. And like, guys, again, maybe for some of you, it's not as real or deep because you're not as in it, right? Or whatever. Guys, I do YouTube. I've been doing YouTube for like 9 years. Been full-time for like 5 years. It's my job. This is what I do. I get out here and it's Marvel and Star Wars mostly. I cover a lot of other stuff. Those have been Disney properties. I've been watching the whole fucking thing go down. Brother, this shit is terrible. Like, this shit is terrible. We would be better off without them. So yeah, no, I think when you look what's going on with Tron, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are just unwilling to admit about what I'm talking about. And maybe it's because there were so many really negative anti-Disney people, and there are people like Drinker, Gary, or whoever who have just kind of decided that that's going to be their thing, and then they've been doing it for a while, and the tone is very flagrant and offensive, and maybe it ruffles your feathers. But look at the views on their videos. Like, I would argue that they're if other people weren't as mad at Disney or feeling that way, they would not have as many views. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to say that like that's the reality of the situation, but I'm just trying to say, like, dude, let's be fair about this. How many times has my ass, legit guys, how many times has my ass had to come out this very year and talk about more bad news for Disney, more stuff Disney's doing that I don't like, more stuff that it's like, oh no, Disney. And I'm not even one of those guys that thinks they're like irredeemable. There's some things that I think they do that are actually good, and I think they could turn it around, et cetera, et cetera. But like the attitude of nothing to see here, everything's fine. I mean, I feel like that's like sleepwalking into a grave. Like I feel like that is. I feel like they should make it known that things are changing. You know what I mean? And I just don't really see it. I mean, I guess it would be up to maybe whoever Bob Iger's successor would be. But this is fucking crazy, dude. And again, a titan of the industry And the industry could really use Disney like not being absolutely fucking terrible right now. You know, like the industry could legitimately use Disney like not putting in these bombs like this. So we'll see, chat. I'm kind of interested. We'll stop the yap. Okay, sorry about the yapping.